This is your Daily 5 for Monday, January 26th, 2026. The first of our commentary films this week. Boy, what a weird journey to get to this movie, and an even stranger result. So, the movie we watched, Lando picked this one, which I was concerned about when he picked it because I'd never heard of it. It's a 1985 title, Miami Golem, that I'd never heard anything about. And the primary reason that Lando picked it was because he was looking at the filmography for the male lead from the Beyond, the 1981 Fulci film, David Warbeck. And he was just curious what this person had done, and he came across this movie, Miami Golem. And based on the fact that I'd never heard of it, just looking at it superficially, I was concerned that what we were going to get was a sort of typical Italian horror film that you never heard of, where the beginning is interesting, the end is interesting, and the middle is interminable. And let me tell you, nobody is more thrilled to be wrong than me when it comes to this type of stuff. And Lando now has free reign. I will doubt nothing of his picks because we had a riot watching this movie. I legitimately, and I said this in the commentary, I will say it here again. If this movie ever gets remastered and put out in high def, I will buy it in a heartbeat, because this movie, as far as I can tell, we looked it up to make sure we had the years right. On the commentary, we did it. As we were watching this and the story was unfolding, I became convinced that this movie, unlike many other Italian ripoffs, which are usually of big budget successes, so, Predator or Terminator or Rambo or whatever, usually Italian ripoffs go for the movies that make big money. But as near as I could tell, this movie was ripping off one of my legitimately favorite films of all time, the year before, 1984's The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. That's the closest that this movie feels in terms of what it is pulling its story from. At times, remarkably similar. And so that, combined with the fact that it is a delightful disaster. This movie is so ineptly made, but ineptly made in the way that works, that is really endearing, where it's strange dialogue, bizarre performances, some really, really bad special effects, but all put together. And the soundtrack, I wish this thing was out. As far as I can tell, it was never published. I'm not really surprised, but it would be worth having. The opening, again, if you see the commentary, you will hear us talking about this. I knew I was familiar with the song, I thought, and then I realized that the opening theme, which you will hear in this week's show because I captured it, is a reworked version of the Axel F theme from Beverly Hills Cop. They took that song and they just moved the notes around, but it is absolutely that song just re-engineered. And you know what? I think the movie at that point really had me. Also, our lead drives a station wagon, our action hero, who could, based on this movie, simultaneously perform at least 5 full-time jobs with perfect adeptness and dexterity, and does, at different points in the movie, drives a station wagon and is this is the person that's going to save the world. Somebody who, I don't even want to get into it. We'll get into it on Friday. This movie is so worth seeing, and luckily, there is a relatively good copy of it on YouTube. So I will link to it in the show notes for Friday. I will have a link to the YouTube. Actually, I'll link it in here. I'll link this to the YouTube copy, because if you are any type of fan of and this is a so bad it's good type of title, like the classic idea of it. If you like movies of that type at all, you will have an absolute blast with this. I really cannot overstate how much of a surprise our enjoyment of this movie, and really mine, because I research a lot of this stuff, but Lando doesn't. So it just seemed like an off-the-wall pick for him. And I really thought he was going to struggle with it more than I would. But man, we had a great time. So if you're into this kind of thing, absolutely take the time to watch 1985's Miami Golem. This movie should not work as well as it does, but it's just magnificent how much fun you'll have with it. Later.